Good afternoon, everybody. Jim Heisler here, back again, talking about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, something that I've been pretty passionate about over the last couple of years, with my experience in the EMS world as well as the military. Being a combat medic, I'm subjected to a lot of pretty horrific things that unfortunately are starting to become headlines here in the United States. And that is the topic of active shooter situations and hostile event responses in malls, on the street, in our schools. So one of the things I want to talk about today is a topic that has been a little controversial over the last few years, but it's starting to pick up a little more steam in a positive sort of sense. And that is whether teachers in schools should be taught bleeding control basics, hemorrhage control, things like that, in the event that there is an active shooter situation in their school. Let's rewind the clock back a few years to December 14th, 2012 in Newtown, Connecticut. Unfortunately, we had a situation there at the Sandy Hook Elementary School where we lost 20 children and 6 adults to an unfortunate series of events in which a shooter opened fire on harmless, helpless civilians. And those souls are no longer with us as a result of that. That really hit home for a lot of people in this region, in this Northeast area. And a study was performed on bleeding control basics, things that we can do, response models, things like that. And one of the things that came to the forefront of all this was point of injury bleeding control measures and their effectiveness and how they can help to extend someone's chances of survival. One such study that came out of that was from the American College of Surgeons, and they came out with a Stop the Bleed campaign. And what that does is it basically teaches the layperson of how to do basic hemostatic control, whether that would be tourniquets or some other kind of hemorrhage control device. Teaches them very simple methods of how to do that and help to increase chances of survival in victims of traumatic events such as an amputation, a shooting, some other sort of injury in which those means would be viable options. I have some examples here with me of certain bleeding control devices that are applicable to this sort of situation. That's the tourniquet and the pressure bandage. These two things have been the most influential pieces of military weaponry in response to certain modalities for the entire war in the Middle East since 2001. The tourniquet has been often controversial in that it was always viewed as, if I throw a tourniquet on, I'm going to lose that limb. Studies have shown that that is not the case, and it's actually preventing loss of life in 90% of pre-shock victims that these are applied to for massive extremity injuries, whether it's an amputation or some sort of gunshot to an extremity, meaning your arms or legs. Torso bleeding control is used with pressure bandages and occlusive dressings that are all part of this Stop the Bleed campaign training cycles that we are teaching to the layperson. And again, to get back to the topic of should we be teaching our teachers these things, is that something really that we should add to the burden of a teacher? We talk all the time. I have family members who are teachers. I have friends who are teachers. We've all been through the school systems, and we know that teachers have a lot on their plates. And now we're adding more to that by expecting them to save the lives of their students. And one's got to ask oneself, is that really something we want to burden our teachers with? And my answer to that is yes. Yes, we do, because a quick blind study that I did of teachers, and I asked them, is this something that you'd want to do? What would you do in a situation like this? And 99% of the teachers that I spoke with said that they would give their lives for their students because they are that passionate about them and they care so much about their health and well-being. So I'm pretty sure that showing them how to put a tourniquet on someone is something that they would jump on board with pretty quickly. Studies have shown that that point of injury intervention is paying huge dividends on the battlefield as well as local domestic medicine, whether that would be through SWAT teams on stateside agencies or anything such as that. This is a worldwide movement at this point where data is just coming in from every walk of life, from all around the globe. And it's all pointing towards we need to get interventions on people who are injured as quickly as possible. And this is one of the ways to do that. So when I say, do we want to burden our teachers with that? I think that's a responsibility that they would willingly take on, and it would not be viewed as a burden. It would be viewed as something more that they could do for their students. Giving the parents and giving the students themselves the knowledge that if something bad were to happen in their school, that same teacher that they see day in and day out will also be able to help them in their darkest hour and be that bridge between the first responders and definitive care, and be that point of injury assistance that they so desperately need. So thank you very much for listening to my talk here, and I hope that you'll spread the word. Thank you very much.